My name is Janis Grieser, and I've been involved with the home health care with my mom, being about 96 now. And she's been in a facility for the last 5 years. And so we use the opportunity to have health care at home versus having to take her out of the facility every time and go to a doctor.
How did you meet Health at Home? I mean, how did you find them and what was the connection?
Well, my mom was at independent living for about 4 years, and then she had a hospitalization and was able to come home very briefly, but it was apparent that she was going to need to go to assisted living.
Okay.
So that is where we got introduced to Jamie, and the healthcare facility gave us her name and number, and she was kind enough to come visit my mom and be able to assess her needs and kind of go through that without. I work full time, so it's kind of hard to be able to just go to the doctor's appointments that are needed pretty frequently at that age. So that worked out pretty well for us, and it's been a great service for us.
Let's just set the scene, because I know when we talked, basically you had a lot of insight on the virus coming ahead of time. So I want to kind of chronologically just start from the beginning of when this all started. When did you know that there was a pandemic that was coming and that your life was about to probably take a drastic change?
Well, probably pretty early in January. I mentioned that I work for an international company. We have a small office here in Nebraska, but we have about 3,000 colleagues in China in 3 different offices, of which all 3 offices had been closed for over a period of time for about 6 weeks. They could not go to the office, and that's a huge part of our company. So by the time late January came, we were already working on a business continuity plan on how we were going to move our U.S. forces here in Lincoln, Nebraska, home, to be able to work from home. With airline travel, and as contagious as it clearly was, we had a pretty good inkling that it was going to really affect us, and it had already affected our operations in China. So that's, we started having conversations about kind of making sure everyone had laptops and that kind of thing, and what kind of internet they had at home.
Did you start thinking about how this was going to affect your mom right away?
Yeah, I had already, by the end of January, early February, I had already started ordering products, supplies off of Amazon, things to clean. By mid-February, I was already buying food. I thought there was a good chance I would bring her home. I didn't know if, it would be something that would sweep through and then go away. We just didn't know.
So walk me through what happened from the time that you started buying supplies to deciding to move your mother.
Well, she came to stay with me about the first weekend of March, just for an evening. It was just a one night. She had her clothes on her back and an extra pair of clothes for the next day, and the facility called and said, "We've been ordered to close. So you have 2 options. You can bring her back right now, and we will be closed for a period of time. We don't know how long." And at that point, I just said, we'll stay here. And they were kind enough to allow me to come by and pick up a few things, and pick up a piece of furniture for her because she needs like a power chair. So she stayed at home with me for 2.5 months.
What made you make that decision?
I knew from everything I'd read that it was pretty much deadly for someone of her age bracket. And so I was working from home. I knew we were going to be working from home for a number of months. At that time, we were supposed to be home until July 6th, and now we're home at least until September 1st.
Were you nervous? Was one of the reasons the motivators for, okay, we're going to stay here, were you nervous that they're at the home were going to be hit by the pandemic and that she would not be safe?
Absolutely. Everything I had read is it primarily comes from staff. And since the pandemic itself is so incredibly contagious, and a lot of people are asymptomatic and don't even know that they have it, I was pretty sure that would be the case. That's what would happen in the facility.
What was that 2.5 months like with your mother at home?
It was hard. She just needed more care than I could do. And I was working full time. I was in the same room. I was able to do what I could for her. But it just got to the point where I just couldn't do both. I just couldn't do both. And I knew I had to make a choice that I didn't want to do. But the facility made me feel very good about all the protocols they were doing. I had a long list of questions for them, and they're doing an amazing job. They are asking staff to leave a set of clothes and shoes at the facility. They come in, they have to take their street clothes off, they change into those clothes. Everyone is wearing masks. I mean, they're doing the best that they can to protect everyone. But I actually asked my mom 10 times, and 9 times she was able to communicate to me that she would like to go back. And so I felt confident that she's getting a lot more attention because there's people in and out. You know, it's a small facility, so it's just an amazing facility, and I just had to trust that I wasn't going to be in control of what happens, and they were doing the best that they can. And I felt confident that she truly meant it, that she wanted to go back.
Why do you think she wanted to go back?
I don't think we never watched the news in that 2.5 months. Never. Not once did I watch the news. She didn't.
Right.
I watched it on the computer. She probably didn't have a complete comprehension of what it was going to be like.
Did you purposefully not have her watch the news?
Yeah.
To protect her mindset?
Yeah. She's pretty smart. No matter how hard I tried, we would watch, she loves Major League Baseball, and it scrolls across the bottom, and she was able to read that. So she knew it was there. And one day she just kind of blurted out something about coronavirus. So she knew there was a virus, but she probably didn't know the entire impact. And I did tell her I wouldn't be able to visit, and I didn't know how long or how often. I didn't emphasize it. I thought it was best for her to make a decision for herself. I try to let her make her own decisions.
You were making window visits, and I know you said that the window was on the 2nd floor. So now you're not able to see her every day, but you're able to communicate with Jan. So first, just tell me what the window visits have even been like, and what seeing her right now does look like.
Well, the initial window visit, I think she was just confused. You know, she just didn't know, what is that all about, and why are you outside, and why am I inside? So so they had a cell phone on, and then I had my cell phone so we could try to communicate. So it was a little awkward. I don't think I just wanted her to know that I was still here. So they brought her down to the cafeteria, and so that's what and the windows don't open, and they're not allowed to open the windows. So it was a little awkward. It was better than nothing, because I hadn't seen her at that time for probably a month. And then they opened up for one day. They had approval, and I was like the first person there. And then at the end of that day, they found out they had 2 asymptomatic staff. So they closed back down.
What went through your head when you heard that?
I cried like I hadn't cried in 20 years. I just felt like I failed. She'd only been back a month, and Nebraska had already kind of hit its peak, but I knew it would, and actually Jan texted me back and forth that night, and just said it's gonna be okay, and she gave me a good piece of news that I did not know, that she had seen facilities that had staff that were symptomatic or asymptomatic, but had done a good job on wearing the masks, and residents had stayed safe. And I didn't know that. So that was good news, that the masks are working. So that helped out a lot. I missed the next day at work. I was just too distraught.
Jan's been more than just a nurse practitioner.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, describe your relationship with her and how that's evolved.
Oh, she always answers. She always replies. Even after hours, I try so hard not to bother her at night, and she's like, it's okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't even matter if it's a weekend. She's always quick to reply. I've had times where I've thought my mom maybe needed a medication, and they would come by, and it's been a phenomenal experience to have home health care when someone's homebound.